Assessment is about demonstrating with evidence to your internal and external constituents what we do. We live in an era of accountability. And so individuals want to ask, how did this era of accountability come about? Well, there are several factors, but in this slide, I just want to deal with one factor. It's about simple cost to the individuals and what it is we produce. I often hear stories from individuals that can tell me about when they went to college, tuition was only $500. Well, guess what? Tuition is no longer $500. Tuition's $5,000. The rate at which the cost of higher education has continued to go up each year has been at more than twice the rate of inflation for the last 20 years. Now, everyone can do their blame storming routine where they blame the state, they blame Chase for bigger and better facilities. It's called the facilities arms race. And there's a lot of blame storming that goes around. Either way, we need to be accountable. When something costs, $500 for a semester, maybe you could sort of get overlooked. But when you start talking about major investment, when you start talking about, the average debt that a student leaves college with is sometimes $15,000, $20,000, and going higher. Well, guess what? When you cost more, people start to ask more questions. And so that's what assessment is about. It's about showing and answering those questions with data, not with stories, with data, not with good PR, with data. So, assessment has 4 purposes. We're looking to improve our programs. We're looking to inform. We need to show both students that are coming in, students that are leaving, the funders, whether that's the state and federal government, and other philanthropic organizations that donate to our college and university, that we are doing our jobs. We need to prove and we need to support. Let me talk to you a little bit about the assessment cycle. As you can see here from this slide, it's a loop. It's ongoing. It doesn't stop. There's never a point in time where you can say, I'm done. I have the perfect program. Now, put it this way. When you do get the perfect program and you can say you're done, send me an email because I want to see that program. And then maybe we can rethink this model. Other than that, assessment is ongoing and continuous. What I really want to talk to you about in this slide is the second half of it. Because I've seen a lot of people, they can write a plan, although I want to be clear. Having a good plan is great. I've seen too many people not without plan. And then you put the plan into action. But what Middle States is very interested in is whether or not you check, whether you collect the data, are you evaluating students' work, how do you know students are doing? And then, of course, they wanted you to see that last part, which is revise and reinforce. They want to see that you've actually acted upon the data that you have. In Middle States, they have a phrase that's called closing the loop. You're probably familiar with this phrase. If you're not, then just recognize that that's really where the rubber hits the road. They're not just interested in you doing gathering information, but they want you to know that whether or not when you gather that information, that you've actually used it. Have you used this data to make the program better? So perhaps students are struggling in a particular course. How have you fixed that course? Maybe students, when they graduate, haven't mastered a certain skill that you think is important to your major. So let's talk about the foundations of assessment. There are 4 major parts to assessment. One is a mission statement. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit. The second is a vision statement. A vision statement is really about where do you see your program or department going in the next 3 to 5 years. You should be able to have some vision of where your program is going. Is it going to grow? What types of new services are you going to offer? How are you going to show? How is it that you're going to know that you're meeting those objectives? That's what a vision statement does. It provides sort of a benchmark of where you're going. You just can't keep coming to work each day doing the same thing over and over again. Things age. Things change. The environment's changing. So certainly you need to be adaptive and responsive and reflective. Vision statements should capture what it is you're aspiring to be. And I'm going to tell you something. Organizations that don't aspire to be age very quickly in today's environment. Mission statements need to be current, they need to be relevant, they need to be promoted and valued, and they need to be known by everyone in the organization. I usually, one of the first things I ask when I go into any type of organization on campus is the question, where's your mission statement? If someone does have a mission statement, I go, whew, well, that's good. At least you have a mission statement. Then I'll ask the question, when's the last time you updated your mission statement? Okay? And then that's when I start to get the hems and haws. But a lot of times I might even ask folks, where's their mission statement? And they'll go, yes, we have a mission statement. Hold on, let me go find it. Guess what? If you have to go find your mission statement, you don't have a real mission statement. Mission statements should be obvious to everyone. They should be upfront. Every person in your organization should know the mission statement. It shouldn't be mystery. Every opportunity you have to promote and to publish your mission statement, even if you can't publish the whole thing, but perhaps parts of the mission statement, you should do so. And obviously, a mission statement is an embodiment of what it is you're trying to do. So over time, you may have to adjust that mission statement to be adaptive to your environment. And clearly, without a mission statement, you cannot do assessment, because for middle states, assessment is simple. They're going to ask the question, did you accomplish what you say you was going to accomplish in your mission statement? So obviously, if you don't have a mission statement, you can't even begin assessment. If you don't have a mission statement, you can't begin to operationalize it and produce action plans that will help you identify whether or not you're meeting your mission. Goals and objectives are the operationalization of your mission statement. In other words, that's where you take the words from your mission statement and turn them into words which you can put into actions. They're really sort of the meat on the bone from the mission statement. So your goals are broader. Your objectives are things that you can measure. So usually you might have one goal, and then you'll have 3 objectives that help indicate whether or not you've met that goal. And all of these align to your mission statement. So certainly you need to have specific goals and objectives. Now I want to be very clear about this. Don't have more than 5 or 6 goals. It can get too cumbersome, and then you're starting to, again, going down that road where the process is too complicated to really get after quality indicators of whether or not you've achieved your mission. So I would prefer most organizations to have maybe 3 or 4, 5 goals at the most, and just a couple of objectives to show that they've met each of those goals. Keep it simple. Having said that, you also want it to be valuable for your organization.